Welcome everybody to another episode of the Leah Purpose Podcast. I'm your host, John Morgan Jr. Listen, I have a special guest with me today, man. For those who've been following LYP, one of the things that I love to do is I love to sit down with my elders, man, and really get some wisdom poured into me. And this man that I have with me is a true definition of an OG. You know what I'm saying? We got Pastor Bishop Paramore in the building, man. Thank you for having me, sir.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
How you feeling?
I feel pretty good. How you feeling?
I am wonderful. In this season, I'm a little tired. I got a newborn, 3-month-old. I also got a 2-year-old. So the house is rocking right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot going on, but it's a blessing.
Yeah,
for
man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I wanna really kind of dive into your story as a whole. You know what I'm saying? And kind of just lead up to some of the things we got going on. But before we even do that, listen, we are on the heels of the unfortunate tragedy of Jayland Walker here in the city. Last week I sat with some pastors right here in these seats that you in right now. And one of the things that I like to do in the midst of tragedy, in the midst of turmoil, again, is talk to my elders, but also, really want to try to be intentional on tapping into my faith and tapping in with God and tapping into my spiritual leaders. You know what I'm saying? So what's your perspective when we see things like that happen? Things that are really unexplainable. How do you wrestle with that, being a man of faith, a leader, in the community, a black man, a father, you know what I'm saying, being an elder? How do you wrestle with all of that?
Man, first of all, let me say it's wrong. There's no explanation for it. There's no justification for it, for what happened to Jayland to happen to him. Mm-hmm. And to happen to him, we're supposed to have checks and balances. It's wrong, it's sinful, it's inhumane, and to try to explain it adds insult to the injury, not just to him and his family, but to the whole community. Let me tell you how I feel about it by saying this to you. If I live to see next month, August 9th, I'll be 56 years old. Mm-hmm. I'm 56 years old. I don't have a criminal record. I've never been arrested. I've never been to jail. I pay my taxes. I'm a homeowner. And I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor in the city for over 30 years. But when I see them lights behind me, I still get nervous. Because I'm black. Mm-hmm. That ain't went nowhere. Mm-hmm. I'm heavily degreed, I'm educated, all that kind of stuff. But when I see them lights, or not even the lights, if I see one pulling behind me, I know they running plates and all of that. And I'm saying, as a cat who has done nothing wrong, who doesn't have a criminal record, there is something monumentally wrong with our system when it can make an old cat like me still nervous. Mm-hmm. So then my nerves are heightened for you, for Kenny, for just all of the fellas that I know that I've watched come up. I'm nervous. I say every time they walk out the house, y'all be careful. Y'all be careful. Y'all be careful. Because I'm nervous all the time. And so that's where I'm at with that. And I think that without any real checks and balances in place, and I've gone all day about policing never being for us anyway, always being for white landowners historically. Mm-hmm. We've never been in that equation. So just all of that, man, makes my heart bleed, but it makes me so nervous because in my head and in my heart, I know another one's coming. Whether in Akron or Georgia or Arkansas or Buffalo, or another one's coming. And I can see the prejudicial mentality behind it because they get taken into custody and we get shot and killed.
Yeah.
It's the story, it's the narrative. We ain't making this up. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. And I'm constantly educating my young people for safety, right? Mm-hmm. But you and me know we can do everything right. And still get shot.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, man. The first thing that you did was speak to the anxiety of the experiences of a black man who ain't did nothing.
Nothing.
Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? That is that is part of our experience that white folks do not have to consider
They'll
at
never-
all.
they'll never-
You know what I'm saying? They'll never have to consider what that is like to even, have to cross their mind. I ain't did nothing wrong, but still, I still got to be on point. Those are the intricate details of the experience of a black person, especially a black man, that again, that people don't really understand. And that is the part that's the part of, the oppressive system that really, that's the stuff that goes unseen. It ain't even got to be nothing about the overt stuff that you see and that you hear. It's the stuff that we wrestle with on a day-to-day. You know what I'm saying? That's just woven within our society.
And I'm glad, John, you said the system, because it is systemic.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely not just in the fabric of policing, but it's in the fabric of our country.
Right.
Right. That is there. It
Right.
is systemic. It's a part of the DNA. Racism is a part of the DNA of this country.
That's it. Since its inception.
Come on.
Since its
And
inception.
for anybody not dealing with that, they are either insane or stupid.
That's right. Well, listen, when I had when I sat down with the pastor, I also had Dr. John Quinn. Shout out to Dr. John. And we asked him the same question. He said one of the first things that I have to do outside of taking care of my mental health is I have to accept that this is a white racist system first. You know what I'm saying? I have to accept that.
And that's
That's
the order.
That's it. And when we accept that, then that it allows us to understand. All right, what we do. There is nothing new, and unfortunately, it isn't anything new, and we know it's going to be another one. And although that is depressing and that is extremely sad, and nobody should have to experience that, that is the reality of where we are.
But that's a part of what we call being woke.
Right.
You can't be more woke than to know my life is in jeopardy.
Oof. Yeah.
Every time I leave the house, this could go down.
Right.
My life is more in jeopardy as a black man than the police officers is as a public servant.
Yeah.
I got more of a chance getting shot than he does, or she does.
Right.
And that's just real.
Right.
That's the statistic.
Yeah.
More than likely, they're going home.
Yeah.
One of us ain't.
So how do you wrestle with those type of tragedies, those type of oppressive incidents with your faith? Like, you know what I'm saying? How do you settle on that with your faith? What type of conversations you having with God when it comes to things like that? Things that we just can't explain and we know it's wrong.
I always ask why. I'm not of the faith where I don't ask God why. I always ask why. I always ask how long. I always ask how come. But I'm also mindful of the fact that the things that are happening is not necessarily God as much as it is man's inhumanity towards man.
Right.
Evil exists.
Right.
Evil exists, and people would have to choose the right thing. And because of what I believe about my faith, we're free moral agents. And as free moral agents, there are times when we're at the mercy of people who choose wrong. So let's put that in perspective there. I'm not just at the mercy of a police officer who will choose wrong. I'm also at the mercy of a drunk driver who will choose to drive.
Right.
Or my children are at the mercies of drug dealers who will supply a middle school or elementary school. You see what I'm saying? Wherever somebody is choosing wrong, wherever somebody decides to walk on the opposite side of right, it puts us at risk.
Right.
And I understand that. Now, would I love for God to just make everybody behave?
Right.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't be choosing him. And that's that conundrum. That's that wrestling match. That's that tension.
Right.
How come you won't make it stop if you can?
Right.
He says, I want you to choose me, but there ain't enough people choosing you right now. So that's that wrestling match. And it hasn't made me so far, I'm grateful, want to quit on God, but it keeps making me ask him the questions. And one of my professors, Dr. Wendy Rushler, used to teach us, you don't know you're growing because you have answers. You know you're growing because you got more questions.
Right. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's a word. I like that. Yeah, I like that.